So we've made it to Unit 4. We have taken our individual elements. Okay, we've taken our atoms that we've started off with their protons, neutrons, and electrons. We figured out how they become elements with their own masses when you add the protons and neutrons together, their own identity with their protons, and then we can see how they bonded when we manipulated their electrons. And so we've gone from atom to element to molecule slash compound, depending on what you're making. Now we're going to see what happens when these compounds actually come together and have a reaction. So now we're getting a little bit bigger. So we're building more onto our uh, chemistry sentence, if you will. We started with a letter, we've gone to word, now we're in making the sentence. So this is what we're looking at right now. So we're going to kind of go through and just, I want you to think back to, and we talked about this in class, I want you to think back to physical and chemical changes. That was how we kind of determined that some kind of reaction was occurring. And so we're going to talk a little bit about indicators today in that sense. So the first thing we need to understand is the law of conservation of matter or mass. You might hear it either way. The first thing you need to understand is, and I know this is very hard to hear because you are teenagers and I know that you think the world revolves around you, but you are not gods, okay? You do not have the ability to create or destroy. And that's what this law is talking about. Matter cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transferred. We can only manipulate it. Manipulation, you guys might be great at that as teenagers. But that's what we're looking at. We're looking at being manipulated. We can't create or destroy. You cannot make new atoms and you can't cause atoms to fall apart. All you can do is make them combine in different ways. And that's what a reaction is. The number of atoms before and after your reaction, so the number of atoms on the left side will be equal to the number on the right side. If that sounds familiar, think about the fact that we said that when we were doing nuclear chemistry, right? Whatever happened on the left had to match what happened on the right. When we looked at the masses and we looked at the atomic numbers on the bottom, we made sure that those totals equaled themselves. It is the same thing here. We're looking to make sure that our atoms on the left and our atoms on the right are equal. So if you have one on the right, you have one on the left. Or if you have three on the left, you have three on the right. Everything in the reaction has to be balanced. Again, whatever happens on the left is happening on the right. So equal. So how do you know a reaction occurred? Well, there's several ways, and I think you've seen this in the video, but it can't be reversed or separated. You want to produce heat, so there's a temperature change. You want to produce light or sound, so kind of an energy change. You want to produce a gas. You might make a precipitate, which is another solid or solid-like substance when you pour two liquids together. You're going to have a color change, and this color change is not going to just be you spray painting something, it's actually changing the color of the compound. And then there's an odor change. So those are ways you can see that different things happened. Production of heat, like I said, the heat change, don't think that it just has to get hot. It actually can get cold as well. Getting hot is exothermic, getting cold is endothermic. Production of light and or sound, think of a glow stick. A glow stick is a great example of a chemical reaction where you see light being emitted. Production of gas is a great one. When we look at some of our chemical reactions we're going to look at a little bit later this unit. Precipitate is going to be very important to us. We looked at some of our specific types of reactions, and we have a whole lesson on dealing with the precipitate. And then, of course, like I said, this colors and the odors. So that's kind of the basis of our indicators in the beginning part of having a chemical reaction.